Good evening. It's Wednesday, and it's totally not Wednesday. See, this is why I don't do intros anymore, folks. It's Thursday, March 15th, 2018. And welcome back to Teal Tinted Glasses. On the show tonight, we have a big AHL roundup. Nicole is our special guest. She's going to have to mute the audio from. Oh, no, that's me. Oh, crap. See, I'm 0 for 2 now.
Oh,
Damn
no,
it.
I was going to say, I don't think.
That's totally
me. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me.
You know what? Let's just sign off and do it all over again, except that we can't. Oh my. I'm Kevin Lacey, the guy botching the whole show, and of course your host is Ian Reed, the guy who is laughing hysterically on mute right now. And then our special guest is Nicole Sorce from Higher Hockey Management, and she's also an AHL photographer. How are you, Nicole?
I am good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I am going to lose my mind after that horrible intro. Ian, how are you?
Fine.
I'm wonderful. And, after how many, and, Vince G right away in the chat, no turtleneck, strike 3.
Yeah. Well, I came from work and I just figured I'll just blend in with my Barracuda jersey in the background and go with the work shirt. But if you want, I can take 5 minutes to change because it's so difficult to put on a turtleneck,
Welcome to the show, guys. Like Kevin said, we obviously got a ton of, we're going to do a deep AHL dive today, which I think we've been meaning to do for a while. And also we have obviously some other Shark stuff to discuss. So I guess we should probably get this rolling with... Obviously, Jonas Donskoi is a big point of concern at this point right now. As far as I know, no new news, but I'm not at a place where no news is good news.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about his health. Last year, it's one of those situations where you want to say, oh no, is it the shoulder that he hurt last year? But he had surgery on both shoulders, did he not? So
yeah,
I don't think it matters.
At his both shoulders at one point during the season last year.
Yeah, that was just a terrible incident. And that's all it was an incident. It wasn't a cheap hit. It was just a rub out on the boards that he got all turned around on. And seeing the dissatisfaction on Jonas Donskoi's face pretty much spells doom for the rest of his season, I'd have to say. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, because I think that would be obviously, I mean, that top line has just been rolling so well. So I think to lose Donskoi now, the Sharks thankfully do have a little bit of depth left to compensate for it. They can draw Yannick Hansen back into the lineup, which, maybe wouldn't excite people earlier in the season. But I think now when you're getting into the stretch run, it's better than, I think it's better than a premature calling up of a Rudolph Balcers or something, where I think that he's just fine where he is, leave him there.
Yeah, I really just think that until the playoffs happen, hopefully the Sharks make the playoffs, but until the playoffs happen, I think all of the assets in the Barracuda need to stay there. Just let it ride out. Yannick Hansen's not making the money on the NHL roster to sit on the bench. So let's get him in. He looked good the last few games he played before he got put back up in the press box. But hopefully Donskoi can come back soon, though, because I hate to see he's been hot and cold a lot, but right now he's been really hot with Evander Kane and Joe Pavelski that's that top line. And you hate to see it happening to anybody. You hate to see it happening to someone who's been playing with a lot of fire and a lot of passion lately. So Jonas.
I don't mind him coming back, and I'm hoping. Obviously, we're hoping for the best, but I don't think it's the absolute end of the world. Although it would be nice to start getting some reinforcements back off the IR, and that would be better, obviously.
Right.
Sharks do some business this last week. Kind of getting into our Barracuda dive here, because I think both of these signings are Barracuda related. Well, obviously the Antoine Bibeau getting a 2-year extension is obviously an AHL deal with the extension of Aaron Dell. It is a 2-way contract, I should say. But obviously, it's, he's going to probably, unless he has a ridiculous camp, is probably going to be your starter for the Barracuda next season. 2-year, two-way deal, $650K in the NHL, $225K in the AHL for the first year, and he also will get $700K the year following, and $250K in the AHL. He also has a signing bonus that he had in his last contract that sees he will make no less than $300,000 in the AHL. Was a pending RFA with arbitration rights, so it's nice to get that deal done. Not that I was really concerned about Antoine Bibeau going to arbitration, because I don't think that. He's been great for the Barracuda, absolutely phenomenal. But I mean, how much would that? How much money is he going to get from an arbitrator for a year where he's pretty much set in the AHL? I don't know.
But good on Antoine for signing the deal when he did. Good on the Sharks for signing him, because it shows that obviously the organization has faith in him being a potential backup for Martin Jones if they decide Aaron Dell is a trade chip next season and move him along. But it's also faith from Bibeau in the Sharks organization. They were the team that gave him a chance this year when it looked like his career was heading towards Europe, because he was really struggling there with the Marlies and falling in the depth chart. And that's why he was expendable. This whole season under the tutelage of Evgeny Nabokov has done wonders for Antoine. And he's been the first person to say it in the interviews that Zach Devine has done with him, and you've seen just online in general. Antoine Bibeau can't praise Evgeny Nabokov enough for completely retooling his game. He's been the best player by far for the Barracuda this season of any position. He was an all-star. This contract is well-deserved. And it's great. He had a fantastic weekend against the Cleveland Monsters this past weekend too. So it's a really good sign going forward.
And guys, I've seen him. I'll jump in here.
I wanted to ask you if you keep with the Marlies.
Just throwing you next.
The Marlies produced some great goalies. Just look what Garrett Sparks is doing this season. He is literally probably one of the main reasons they are going to be in the playoffs, obviously, and have a really good chance of winning the cup this year. And I've been watching him for the last few seasons. So if you kind of look at the top few goalies, you can tell, oh yeah, that one's from the Marlies. He spent time with the Marlies. You go down the list and it's really a testament to how well they train their guys up there.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm glad you mentioned that too, Nicole, because I feel like the Marlies are one of those, or the Maple Leafs are one of those organizations who really do put a lot of stock in developing their AHL roster, something that we have talked about where we wish the Sharks would do more of. The Marlies are always in the thick of things, and it starts from the net out.
Yeah, those two teams have a great relationship too. I mean, sometimes the Marlies play at Air Canada Center, so it's just having those two, parent, not child teams, because they're not children, they are professional athletes, but you know what I mean.
For
the
sure.
Affiliate right in the town, a few blocks away, it definitely helps.
What do you how do you feel about Sheldon Keefe, the coach of the Marlies?
You know what? He is tough, and he literally is, such a big influence on the way those guys play, just the passion they bring every game. It's always a different vibe when the Marlies are in town, whether it's Syracuse or Belleville or Providence or wherever they are. And a lot of that comes from the guys on the bench behind them. So, yeah, I think they're doing a great job, and it definitely shows in their record this year.
Absolutely. The Sheldon Keefe's the guy who I keep feeling like, he's a knock away from an NHL job, I think. Like, absolutely. I think if you look at guys that are out there, like Sheldon Keefe is near the top of my list. And I've witnessed Sheldon Keefe's coaching firsthand because I'm in the Sioux. So he was obviously the coach of the Greyhounds before they stole our GM, our Wonderkind, and then and obviously took Sheldon Keefe with them. So definitely a guy who I have just a ton of respect for his coaching style.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's definitely, I've been kind of towards the front of the time for Peter DeBoer to leave train. And I always say Sheldon Keefe is my guy. He'd be my guy to take over if that were to happen. So, yeah.
Hey, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Crazier things have happened.
Yeah. Actually, Nicole, since you mentioned those teams like Syracuse and you've seen Toronto, now are you still doing photography for the AHL?
So I still cover both the AHL and the ECHL from my own blog, NicoleSorce.com. It is completely like independent, so I don't work for the league per se. I used to work for teams in the league. I've worked for the Portland Pirates, the Binghamton Senators. I was with the Carolina Hurricanes for a few months. And I mean, I've done a ton of internships too. So yeah, I've been around and I still continue to be around on my free time. I never give myself time off. I'm always at the rink. So if I don't have something going on, I'm literally asking for, a credential to come and cover the game. So wherever I am.
That's awesome. All right, so are you able to get out and see a whole bunch of different teams, or do you kind of stick to a couple of local teams for you?
It started off where I was solely focusing on Utica and Syracuse and Wilkes-Barre just because they were the closest to me. Same goes for Adirondack and the ECHL. But in terms of AHL, I've been to more places now than I ever thought was possible, and especially covering the entire Calder Cup playoffs last summer between, the Eastern Conference, everything, literally from round 1 through the finals when the Marlies, it broke my heart to see them lose. No one deserved to lose that series. It really was so close. It could have gone either way. And then, obviously I'm in the Syracuse area, so seeing the Crunch lose the Calder Cup last year was pretty tough, but being on the ice for when the Griffins we're celebrating is just something I will never forget. So I've hit most of the Midwestern teams now. I don't like to fly, so I really want to come cross country drive, come to California, hit Arizona, just everywhere. So I will get out there, guys. I promise.
Well, you almost had a chance last season because the Barracuda should have gone to the finals, not the Griffins, but I digress.
No. Well, the thing is, if it was the Barracuda, I probably would have been, not able to do the whole thing. So
yeah,
it was awesome to be a part of every single game leading up to the Calder Cup, just kind of experiencing it, and just being on the road so much gives you so much appreciation for what the guys do every day. With the bus trips in the Eastern Conference, I know it's more of a thing for us, but yeah, it's a great experience just to see what goes on.
That's awesome. And to be fair, the Griffins deserve to win that series.
Oh, they did. I know. Not to take anything away from them. Both teams deserve to be in the final for sure. They fought over there.
Yeah.
But it was probably it was tough for the Crunch. Let's put it that way. Those were hard games for them.
Now, Ian, I know you have one more signing you want to get to, but since we are on the topic real quick, Nicole, how much talk is there, since you're out east, I'm out west, do you hear much about the teams, the Western AHL teams, for example? There are no Western ECHL teams, but outside of Idaho. But
right. Yeah. Salt Lake City, there are a few.
Is there a lot of national banter? Because we here in San Jose hardly hear about anything out of our own state.
That's exactly how it is here. It's unique in upstate New York just because there are so many local rivalries only an hour apart from each other. So especially when Albany was in the league last year, I mean, that's an hour from Utica. So that was a huge rivalry. Mm-hmm. Rochester, Syracuse is always intense just because you literally are on I-90. Mm-hmm. You hit Rochester, Syracuse, Utica, Albany, all spread out an hour apart. So just that right there, it's a lot different just because you can travel so easily to go see those other teams as well. So yeah, in Syracuse, you hear about Utica all the time, for example, but we will never talk about Cleveland. I'll never hear anything about you guys. It's really crazy. It really comes together during the finals.
Yeah.
When people start to talk about the Western Conference like it doesn't exist right now. Mm-hmm. It would be so cool if, someday down the line, hockey could do something similar to the MLB where you are playing those kind of, out of conference teams once during the season or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it would make the playoffs a lot more fair all around. Or, you know, the final a little bit more fair just because you've seen everyone at least once.
Definitely.
But,
and plus, we don't need to see the Stockton Heat 14 times.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And I know, you know, in the minors, it's tough with money and whatnot, but we were just talking about goalies that are making so much money for being a goalie. And, you know, if you can pay a guy that much, you can figure out the travel costs, I think, to market the league a little bit differently.
Do you get to see much college hockey?
It's funny you say that. I live in the same town as Cornell.
Oh.
So I do get to make my way over there sometimes, but I really am spending all of my time in the AHL or ECHL. And I wish I could do more college and like explore to USHL and stuff like that. Someday I will. But right now with everything I have going on currently, it's just better to stick to my AHL and ECHL teams.
Well, it's funny that you say that you wish you could cover it more, because we wish we could cover it more. And Vince G is always asking us this, which is why Ian's next topic goes right along with that.
Yeah. The Sharks also, when the Sharks sent away Troy Grosnick and Brandon Bolig, I said that one of the reasons would be probably to bring some of their college kids into the fold. And in that vein, the Maxim Latunov signed an entry-level contract, ending his college career at UConn. He's a former second-round pick of the St. Louis Blues, picked 52nd overall in 2014. He was involved in a trade deadline deal, which sent him to the Coyotes for Zbigniew Michalek. There's a blast from the past. And then a conditional third-round pick, I believe, in 2015. The Sharks used the pick that they got, sending Dylan Sadoway to Detroit to pick him up at the draft. He also came along with this 6th-round pick that became Jacob Legru. So Latunov's a center, stands, depending on who you ask, 6'5" to 6'3", about 180 pounds. He played in the UCHL before going to college, which is a little bit uncommon for a Russian-born player.
Agreed.
But I mean, it shows, like, you know, any talk of, you know, oh, well, how will he adjust to the game? Like, he's been playing here since he was a kid, basically. So now he's, you know, turning, I think, 22, 23. Obviously, he's got a good grasp of the North American game. What I like about him is his excellent vision. He can distribute the puck really well. He is almost a point per game for UConn. I really like the kid. I know some have soured on him a little because he still hasn't bulked up as much as some people would like him to do for a guy his size. And obviously that is going to be a concern. You know, trying to go to the pro game is going to be size, because he's going to have to be able to, you know, stand his, you'd want a guy his size to kind of be able to stand his ground more on the ice. And I wouldn't be shocked if you see him in a Barracuda sweater within the next couple of weeks. Kevin, any thoughts on Latunov?
Well, see, what drives me nuts is I had a very favorable impression of him at the development camp last summer, and I don't remember what it was. I just remember thinking, oh man, I like Max Latunov this year. Like, because last year I thought he was kind of invisible. This year he made some progress, but I guess not enough, because I can't remember. But he is a guy. He's a twig. But I do recall he looked like he put on about 20 pounds, and he still needs to put on another probably 30 pounds.
Get this kid rare.
But he's got the speed. You know, you want these kids to add weight, add bulk, but maintain their speed. And that's half the battle, really. Look at a guy like TJ Gagliardi years ago, who tried that and got significantly slower and found himself out of the NHL and out of North America altogether. So Latunov's definitely like a project player in terms of both his game and his physique. But they were not going to sign Dylan Sadoway, unfortunately. And also, unfortunately, Dylan Sadoway has not progressed like either of us thought in the Red Wings organization. So to get a pick for him and then turn it around into Latunov, I don't think that's bad asset management at all by Sharks GM Doug Wilson. So I'm excited about this signing.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, he's one of the, you know, he's one of the two guys that I'm really, really excited about, that I thought would potentially leave college this year. Obviously, the other being Dylan Gambrell. But I really like what little I've seen of the kid. I really like. I mean, I don't have a lot to go off of. I have, this is one of the situations where I have to kind of rely on the scouting reports more and try and filter out some of the noise. But I definitely a player that I'm looking forward to seeing skate on a regular basis with the Barracuda, at least to start, and then who knows where it goes from there. But there's one thing the Barracuda right now is some centers, so that should be a big help to them.
Definitely, yeah. I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Although apparently they don't need any help, because you saw some games this weekend, Kevin.
Yeah, apparently Emerson Clark and Sam Warning and these household names for the Barracuda are Caleb Herbert, the guys we talk about every week.
Absolutely.
No, the Barracuda were amazing. They looked like a team like last year's Barracuda. It was just dominating the Western Conference. I wouldn't have expected it coming up against the Cleveland Monsters, who on paper are a way more solid team, a bigger team, a stronger team. But what was great about the weekend's games was that the Barracuda, they took the punishment, they took the abuse, and they gave it right back to the Monsters, and then controlled the game, and they basically let the Monsters beat themselves, and then just capitalized on every opportunity they could. Friday's game, 6-2 victory. Saturday's game, a 4-0 victory, and probably two of the cleanest games I've seen the Barracuda ever play in terms of start to finish in the 3 years I've been going to these games. So it was really exciting. Plus 8,000 people at the game on Saturday.
That was which doubleheader.
It was the Barracuda were the back half of the doubleheader, and it was a jersey giveaway as well, which definitely puts butts in seats.
That totally helps.
It definitely does.
Totally helps.
But on there were a lot of naysayers, and this kind of bothered me. And they're right in saying this, because in the past we've seen the Barracuda throw out these promotions, and the Sharks fans come, gobble up the promotions, and leave before the opening puck drop, and that sucks. And this season, despite the fact that the Barracuda continue to have attendance problems, when we've had the promotional games, the fans have stayed. And so I legitimately believe this 8,056 figure that they're throwing out there, because it was announced as a sellout, but way before the game was played.
Right.
You got to factor in the ticket holders Sharks 365 holders who didn't attend, and the fact that they opened the upper bowl and the visiting side corner or end to fans to sit in, because there were no other spots to sit. So it was a great turnout. It was a great game, and hopefully games like that can build on the future. It's just at some point the marketing team needs to get it together and help contribute to bringing people in. And I know, Nicole, you used to work for the Portland Pirates in this exact regard, and I'm not saying this job is easy, because it's not. So on a scale of excruciating to agony, how difficult is it to sell tickets?
It is one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I'm not being dramatic about that. It's, sales in general, if you don't have the right personality for it, you're going to not like it to begin with. They train you to sound like a robot, and it's in a way just a fake way of building a relationship, because all the rep is after is a credit card number. And I think you're spot on with saying that marketing teams really need to chip in more. It was a problem I've seen over the course of my career, and not to say that the Barracuda are doing something a certain way too, or not doing something a certain way. I don't know, but I always like to use the example of the reason I am such a passionate, hockey fan, sports fan, is because when I was growing up in New Jersey, the New York Yankees had their own channel on TV. I mean, that right there teaches fans so much about the history of the team. They have weekly shows updating, they call it the Yankees magazine. about charity events that the Yankees were holding or stuff like that. And it was just so much more media in your face, especially with, local newspapers, the whole sports section were the Yankees and Mets. I mean, a lot of work has to be done. And I know the minor leagues, it's not the NHL. We have to remember that because the NHL is the greatest league in the world. And, the AHL is only the second. But at the same time, so much more marketing needs to be done, especially geared towards children because they're the next generation of fans. Who's going to be buying season tickets in 10 years? It's going to be them, when they're out of school. So, just...
That was me. That was me 15 years ago. When I turned 21, I had money and I bought Sharks a quarter season plan because I could.
And, kind of touching on, the numbers of what teams put out there too. I remember being in office settings where, one game would be completely bought out by a sponsor in one or two sections, and then no one shows up in those seats. And then you have empty tickets anyway, or empty seats. Even though the tickets were sold. So, the attendance who actually shows up is more of a say to me of how a team is doing than how many tickets they actually sell. Because, if no one shows up, they're not obviously making anyone interested.
Ian, what do you think? Because I know you've watched games online since you're up in Ontario. What do you think when you look at the video feeds and go, there's a lot of empty seats there? Like, do you think anything of it, or?
Well, no, I don't, because I don't think too much of it. I think it kind of goes with the territory, right? Like, for even though, like, just again, I'm a junior hockey fan, so again, lower level of hockey, and junior hockey city, and it's just now that the arena is starting to sell out now the playoffs, and the Hounds have been the best team all year. Mm-hmm. And it's now just finally starting to fill up. Like, the tickets are actually somewhat difficult to get now. Whereas, during the season, you could walk up to the gate, get a ticket, no problem. So I think that it's a mindset that, I think it's a mindset thing that you have to, like, yes, you have to keep in mind, obviously, the role that, junior hockey or the AHL or the ECHL plays. But at the same time, I feel like, like Nicole, to what Nicole's saying, but it's always good that, I go to a Greyhound game. I always see a ton of kids. And I was one of those kids, I was a complete rink rat when I was a kid. Anytime I could get my dad to get me a ticket, man, I was there. Even through the good, the bad, whatever. So I think, I agree. I completely agree that you want to market it as the way I think the Barracuda are doing the right thing because they are trying to market as more of the family experience, right? Like,
yes.
Get X tickets, X hot dogs, X whatever, right? Pop, juice, whatever. And, you get these huge package deals and I think that's the way to go. It's just, I don't know. It's, if I had the answer to this, then I would be running a team somewhere, I'm sure.
I can tell you that in Portland, for example, we tried everything, especially those package deals with the food and giveaways, and Binghamton, the same thing.
Well, that's right. You work for the Binghamton Senators too, right?
And I did ticket sales for them as well. And ultimately, the biggest objection that you get as a sales rep is that the tickets are too expensive. And you know what? I totally agree. Why would a team want an arena more than half empty, but they don't want to lower their prices because they don't want to look, weak compared to their competitors? And like, you're lucky you're in a huge city. I mean, that's what, San Jose, you can't compare San Jose to Utica. To me, it's like crazy to see, the different cities in the league. If you saw where Belleville, Ontario is, you'd be so surprised there's a team there, but I'm not, because they're an hour or two from Ottawa, and, that place is packed every single night. There's probably not many people living there. Versus, somewhere in San Jose and having issues, it's crazy to see the differences.
Oh yeah, and that's something that we've talked about even with the Sharks, because the Sharks have had attendance woes the last 3 years when they never had it before, and rising costs, living costs, I should say, and more entertainment options really take away from that and make the selling of tickets that much harder. But I like what you're saying, Nicole, and it's something that I mentioned. We kind of met through an article I wrote on pucknology.net a couple of years ago, met online anyway.
Yes.
And because Nicole, check out NicoleSorce.com, SORCE, because her blog is amazing. And
thank you.
One of the things that I caught from that was it doesn't just happen here. Like all the griping about, oh, they need to have fans here, or the ticket reps don't care, or whatever. There's a lot of moving parts to everything, and I thought Nicole broke it down perfectly with her experience with the
absolutely
Pirates.
It was an eye-opening time. And just, to say something else too, the reps aren't motivated because what they're being forced to do as a sales process, which is cold calling people all day.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. And, why would somebody, my superior want me to sit there and leave the same person 15 voicemails in the span of 2 months because I won't stop calling them, versus me getting leads on social media, which, started to happen for me when I was with the Hurricanes. I started to get leads on my social media pages, and that's what teams need to do. They really need to combat, they kick out the old and bring in the new. Like, no one wants a sales call.
Yeah, right.
I made so many more sales over social media and emails than I've ever made on a phone.
I believe that.
I mean, maybe with the exception for, I remember back in the Binghamton Senators days, when I would be in inside sales, just, with a list of phone numbers, and we would have a deal that was only good over the phone, like that minute. If you said no, you lost the deal. That's something that wasn't open to the public, but sales reps were able to offer, if you call someone, which I think is a really good way to go if you want a quick, boost in attendance for an upcoming game, because, you're not putting season ticket holders in a position where they think they're not getting a good deal now.
Right.
And that's very important to keep in mind too in sales. It's a lot of moving parts, for sure.
That's what Vince was saying in the chat. It's like, it's a hard, I'm paraphrasing, but sometimes you get tickets on the secondary market and get, 85% of the experience a season ticket holder gets while they're paying nearly twice more. And that's obviously a problem too, because you don't want to, the Florida Panthers are a team where, they've had obviously ticket problems for as long as they've existed, but under the new ownership, they had a really hard time at first because no one saw the value in the ticket anymore, because they'd just been giving them away for so long that, and then people were suddenly shocked, like, wait, I can't get a ticket by pumping gas into my car anymore? What do you mean I can't get a ticket?
Right.
And so it's hard. It's definitely like, I can't even begin to understand like the challenge from a sales perspective when you gotta like, you have to find that happy medium where, it's not too expensive, but at the same time, you don't want to crap on your season ticket holders by basically just giving tickets away to fill the arena.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, what I like to equate what the Barracuda need to do is what the San Jose Giants baseball team does, because you can get free tickets. I mean, the diehards, you give them incentive. I say diehards. That's right. I meant season ticket holders, but hey, they're diehards.
They really are.
But they get incentives. They get special events. They get basically free beer. And, and then on the flip side, if you're not a season ticket holder, then you have opportunities to get free tickets to get in the game, to get in the building, because they stress the importance of having a full building and let everything else sell itself. And that's something I really want the Barracuda to do. So what you were talking about, Nicole, with finding new ways and in maybe, not cold calls and not the most straightforward ways, but finding the right niche of bringing fans in. I think that's the route the Barracuda need to do. And that's what I was kind of stressing in that article I mentioned before. So
absolutely. And I'll say again, the best way to do that is through marketing for the kids, coming up with ticket deals for them, just having, a school chorus or band come sing the national anthem. I mean, like, that's an experience those kids will remember forever. And plus, for every, say there's a band of 50 kids that want to play the national anthem, for every kid, there's probably 4 or 5 adults or other family members coming.
Mm-hmm.
So you really do get big crowds just, off of a youth hockey team at an intermission skate, or whether it's having the kids just line up with the guys for the national anthem. I mean, there's so many ways to make money and get those people in there. And I think it's more worth it to, up the youth hockey and school kids and whatnot, those initiatives, than waste any more time on the phone with pointless phone calls and no one answers the phone. That's the thing. Like, I can't tell you how many hours I would sit there and not talk to somebody because I didn't get anyone on the phone that would answer.
Yeah.
So it seems like a huge waste of time, and their phone bill must be pretty ridiculous. That's all I have to say.
All right. Now I'm going to pull something off of your blog here because it kind of goes with what you're saying. Bringing people in the right way. I know you're not a fan of special event nights that have nothing to do with hockey. And the Barracuda have an event coming up next Saturday, the 24th, that I'm ecstatic for, but it has absolutely nothing to do with hockey. I don't know if you heard. It's Legends of the Hidden Temple Night.
Oh, my goodness.
So stoked. They're going to wear blue Barracuda jerseys, and with the elbow pads will be the stripes on the jersey. I think it's ingenious.
I've seen that a lot this year. Yeah. Like movie themed jerseys and stuff. That, I mean, it's all in good fun. I understand that. There's like definitely people that will come to the game just for that wouldn't have come normally. But those people aren't going to come back if there's no promotion like that. And like, how often can you really put that on? So that's the reason I'm kind of against those things. I mean, it's cool, like, if they can work it in. But, they're promoting that night, that game, instead of who are they playing that night? San Jose Sharks or Barracuda, versus whoever visiting team is.
The Stockton Heat for the 50th.
The Stockton Heat, right. For the 50th time, exactly. Goes back to other things we talked about tonight. But, they're calling it, sorry, what is it again? The Lost. See, I'm not good with movies.
Legends of the Hidden Temple. It was a Nickelodeon game show.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not good with these things because I don't really watch much TV or anything, but
well, how can you? You're out doing everything.
Exactly. I'm always in the car. That's the truth. But yeah, they're promoting it as that night, that theme night, instead of the game featuring, this promotion.
Agreed.
So they're, it could be just a simple tweak in marketing that can make me like them a little bit more, but for now, that's the main reason, because they're not coming for the hockey, they're coming for something else. And then, like you said, they could leave before the puck drop, which, before you said that, I hadn't really seen that myself up in the East.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting to me. Like, they're treating that game more like they're coming to like a shopping mall in San Jose or something, and then leaving because they're not into the game. So that's interesting.
Gotta get that Brent Burns bobblehead. Got it. All right, later.
Racist fan Roxanne says that I love the teddy bear toss. The teddy bear toss is cool. Like no one ever.
That's definitely a unique thing, and every team does it now. It's almost become synonymous with hockey because you don't really see it in other sports. So things like that, I'm all about. Yeah, that's so cool once a year. The guys love it too.
Now, Nicole, kind of changing gears for a sec. Did you just recently start with higher hockey management? Because that was
the beginning of the season. Yeah.
Okay. Because I saw your post recently about that, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on with the scouting?" And tell me about this.
Happened over the last year. I mean, it's crazy what a calendar couple do for you. But I got linked up with Higher Hockey. Gordy Howe is our associate director of recruitment. He found me on LinkedIn. We started chatting, and I pretty much said, I think I can help you guys. I'm in these arenas. You should be targeting these guys. I would love to scout for you. So he connected me to Derek Becker and Jason Krog, who are the two former players who own the agency. They both had great careers in the NHL and over in Europe. So they're very well connected over there. It's been a 4-year process for them now, and I started with them in October.
That's awesome. So is that going to open up? I mean, do you do a lot of communication with the players yourselves, or are you liaison between Jason Krog and Derek Becker and the players? How does that work?
So basically the best way I can say is I'm the first contact that a player will have, with the agency in general, because I'm a scout. So I will be the one that approaches a prospective player, asks them if they want to consider representation with us and kind of get them connected with the guys to talk about if it's right for them, you know, with their contracts and what leagues and their stats. And there's just, you know, so many different things to consider. So once the player commits to our agency, it's pretty much in Derek and Jason's hands, and Gordy a little bit too. You know, everyone's above me and all that kind of stuff. But if some guy needs help with, you know, an endorsement or social media and all that, I'm there for them. Also, I've been helping them start up their social media accounts because they came to me and they were like, Cole, we don't really know what Twitter is, so can you help us? Like, okay, I got you. I got Twitter. So we're going to be putting out some cool content. Probably look for that over the next couple of years just to start going, because we're figuring out right now kind of what we want to put out there. Most stuff I can't even talk about. It's that time of year where we're starting to negotiate for next season. So, but yeah, it's been an awesome experience so far.
That's awesome. Do you have any room for a 34-year-old amateur defenseman who's really good at Division 6 hockey? Because I need some representation.
Well, as long as you have ECHL or AHL or NHL on your resume, I can help you out.
I've been to games at all three of them. I have not dressed for any of them.
Well, there you go, Kevin. I'm sorry.
Kev, you should have given up this defenseman dream and been a goalie, because then at least, you know, you could be like an emergency goalie one night and then you're in.
Oh, I could be the backup for the Barracuda. Although they did finally recall Stefan Williams, but they decided we probably should have someone behind Bebeau for the rest of the year. But I digress.
So Nicole, how did you, like, for hockey? Like, was hockey just like something that was like always like in your family, or like how did you fall in love with the game?
Yeah, my dad was a really big hockey fan. He still is. He's a Rangers fan, but since I was in New Jersey, he grew up taking us to New Jersey Devils games because going into the city was kind of scary, I guess, for a dad with young kids. So I just remember not really understanding the game at first because I was so young, but the moment a goal was scored, just how the arena lit up together in unison, like that's what I remember about, you know, those first hockey games I ever went to back at the old Continental Airlines Arena. From there, I actually was a student musician like my whole life. And it was senior year of high school where I realized I don't really want to do music as a career. It's more of a hobby. So I started to branch out, and my high school gym teacher, Todd Drevich, he is a former ECHL player. So that right there is kind of how the hockey thing started, because he was the hockey coach at Pope John High School, which is where I went in New Jersey. And he was looking for stats people for help for the season. So I actually earned my varsity letter for men's ice hockey through keeping stats for a former ECHL player. He taught me everything, like how to keep track of shots on goal. He had a system, like, you know, underline once if it was blocked, twice if it was missed, you know, stuff like that. If the shot made it all the way to the goalie, like, don't do anything to it, just write the number of the player. Like, I literally have charts from high school and everything. So that's how I first got into it. And when I went to college at Ithaca College in upstate New York, that's where I live again now. I knew that I could not go without hockey. So I became the team manager of the Ithaca College club team, which is a great experience. I was, you know, the liaison for their league they were in, the liaison to the school sports department, plan their travel, manage a budget, all that stuff. Kind of through that and my education, I was a sport management major. When it came time to do my internships and everything, I went for the Binghamton Senators, Trenton Titans, kind of just stuck with hockey, and it bloomed from there. So now I'm here. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Your resume, Leanne Thornhill in the chat earlier basically said you're awesome, and your resume resume is so in depth.
I know her name because she likes my stuff, so that means a lot to me. I recognize the name. So, hey.
Nice. Nice. Yes, folks, follow Nicole on Twitter. I certainly do. And I'm really picky about who I follow on Twitter.
Me too. I come and go with a lot of teams. Like, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to follow, you know, the Crunch for 3 days, and then I'll come back in like a month.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you just want to follow me for the rest of the season, see what I do, you know, feel free, come on over.
Yeah.
And if you like my post, you can stay.
Where can they find you?
It's at Nicole Sorce. So Nicole, Nicole Sorce. No you in there, people. No you.
She is the source, but it's Sorce.
It's funny because my first blog ever in hockey with the Trenton Titans was called The Inside Source. So
nice.
That's awesome.
Good memory there.
Nice.
Rip Trenton Titans. It's sad, but it's, you know, it happens.
Okay, you mentioned Trenton Titans, and I've mentioned Portland Pirates, who are also no longer.
We don't have the Elmira Jackals. We don't have the Mallards are now leaving us.
That's what I wanted to ask you, was what's going on with the Quad City Mallards, who have one of my favorite logos in the entire universe. Their owner is he just folding the team? Like, he couldn't sell the team? Do you have any insight on this?
So from what I understand, and it surprised me a lot because I looked at their average attendance and it was, you know, over 3,300, which
I know someone who's a season ticket holder for them. He loves that team.
It would be awesome for teams up in the Northeast to get that kind of attendance every night. So it blows my mind that they weren't able to sustain it. Because I know some teams that would kill for that up here. But, you know, I just think it comes down to there's a plague out there of, you know, ineffective marketing, ineffective sales tactics, and it's starting to take over these smaller towns one by one. So I've been through Illinois. I've never been to Quad Cities myself, but just from what I've seen in the rest of the state, it surprises me that there could be another big city that's not Chicago in that place. I mean, Rockford's pretty small too. So, I mean, just seeing what happened to Elmira last year, that's the best way I can describe it. I knew that something really had to be wonky in maybe the Mallards, because I don't know for sure, but I can tell you that in Elmira, it was a disaster, a financial disaster that involved, you know, rumors of losing the arena before the team even folded, kind of thing. Like, the money wasn't there in the city. It's a very small city. It's not even a city to me. I mean, there's no skyline off a highway. You know, there's like a few blocks with an arena and a church, and that's pretty much it. So it's, you know, I would be curious. I kind of now regret not getting out to Quad Cities, you know, last time I was out in the Midwest, but I would like to see it for myself. But I just really think it's something we're seeing across the board.
I hope someone can pick up the pieces. It's been done once before, so hopefully again. But
you know, give it a couple of years, something will likely come back. I mean, look at what happened to Portland and now St. John's. I'm pretty excited about that addition to the league for the ECHL. Right. That's going to be awesome. But
there's a city that's been yo-yoed a few times now.
Exactly.
Yeah, good call. Good call. Ian, you have any other questions for Nicole while she's with us here?
I don't think so. I appreciate you coming on, though.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I would stay to the end, but my phone's starting to blow up a little bit. I got some guys in Europe trying to get home.
Guys in Europe. I got some guys in Europe.
I got some guys in Europe trying to figure out their lives. But
that's okay.
Yeah, it was great talking to you guys. I'd love to come back if you ever want to talk some more.
For sure.
But
we need a female voice on a lot more than we do. So
probably, it's probably a true story.
And just the fact that you're a wealth of knowledge.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
and sharing your insights.
I love to contribute, and I'll let you know when I'm out in the Western Conference desk, because I literally saw 2 Barracuda games this year, which I didn't think was going to happen. I was in Cleveland, so. Nice. Never know when I'm going to run into these guys. I'll keep you posted where I'm at. And if I'm with your team, I'll let you know. We'll talk some more.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, thank you, Nicole. It's been a pleasure.
So welcome, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
And thanks, everyone. Follow me.
That's at Nicole Sorce.
At Nicole Sorce. It's so worth it. We'll love hockey together.
Amazing.
Awesome.
All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Thanks.
All right.
So Ian, what else? There's been other stuff going on just in general. And I know that it was asked in the chat about the upcoming Barracuda game. So where do you want to go from here?
Well, Rob wants to know who is going to win the Frozen Four this year. I have no idea. Do you have any favorite for the Frozen Four this year? Who you rooting for?
Who am I rooting for? I'm always rooting for North Dakota, but okay. I have the problem is that the NCAA is shown so sparse, except for that one crazy Friday night where 4 games were all on at once, and my mind was blown. Where we did a show that night,
right?
I won't probably know who's in the Frozen Four until the Frozen Four. And that's just sad. So I'm going for North Dakota, and I have no idea how they're doing this year.
Fair enough. I'm going to say Denver just because Gambrell's there, and I want Gambrell to win another title and then leave because that's what kind of jerk I am.
That's awesome, though. I heard that we mentioned Max Letunov earlier. I know Max Letunov was named a second-team All-Star, right? Is that
I believe so.
For hockey,
I feel like that's a thing.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a thing. Yeah, no, I'm super excited for Letunov to come over. I'm really hoping Gambrell makes the jump this year. I think that both guys can definitely help the system. I think Gambrell's could be an NHLer today, but should he stumble, I mean, having the Barracuda right there is such a great situation for him, I think. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. Yeah, I'd really like to see him make the jump this year and not have to have this heart palpitations come next summer. I don't want to do that show.
Yeah, that Letunov was a junior, so as you mentioned, he forwent. I don't know, how would you say that? Forwent?
He forgo. Yeah,
his senior year was foregone.
Forgone. That sounds good. I like that.
And
I'm gonna English dictionary that later and figure out how to use that word properly in that tense.
Now that Nicola's gone, the articulation on this show just went, and I can't believe I even got articulation out. But
oh man, you know what? Preview the games, and then I guess we'll finish on Ovechkin. How's that sound?
That sounds great. Sounds great. So the Barracuda tomorrow night they're on the road. The next 3 games, I believe it is. They're on the road in Bakersfield tomorrow, home of the final game that Troy Grosnick was in a Barracuda jersey. And I actually want to segue back to that. But the Condors are, as far as I'm aware, still in last place. But they are over 500, and they just walloped. Oh, man, I don't remember my out-of-town scores from the other night. But I know Bakersfield destroyed somebody. Just as the Barracuda destroyed the Monsters over the weekend. So both teams are running high off the weekend's games. It should be a pretty competitive game. And neither team's mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. The Barracuda, I believe, still need to win 12 of the last 14 games. But
I'd have to run the tape. I was looking at this last night, I think, on Teal 10 After Dark, and it looked like pretty daunting for them. They'd have to go on one hell of a run to get in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, they won 15 in a row last year, but unfortunately it's not last year's roster. But hey, the Barracuda have won 4 in a row now. And then after they beat the Bakersfield Condors tomorrow, hopefully, they play the Ontario Reign, who has really been streaking recently. Like they've won 7 of their last 10, but I mean, this was a team that was down in the doldrums with the Barracuda for a lot of the season, and now the Reign are 3rd. They're at 589 points percentage. Things are going really well for that team. So Saturday afternoon is going to be a really difficult one for them. And then Tuesday night they finish up in Tucson at the TCC, play the Roadrunners, who are leading the division by a lot. They're at a 629 points percent. Actually, they're not by that much. It's a 27 it's 0.027 in the points percentage, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually only 3 points up on the goals. My recommendation, this is just a personal recommendation, listen to the Tucson broadcast for that one on Tuesday, because their radio play-by-play guy should be in the NHL. Tom Callahan, that guy's freaking great. So if you want to listen to some AHL hockey while you're doing the dishes or eating dinner or whatever, tune into that broadcast. That's my recommendation.
Tucson, obviously, Dylan Strome tearing it up for them, averaging over a point a game. Just needs to get that skating up that one level. And I mean, it's not bad. Like, you consider, he was averaging, I think, 2 points a game in junior, now 1 point a game in the AHL. Like, there's a player there. If he can get his skating sorted out, like, there's a player there, and the Coyotes will be fine.
Yeah. Sorry, I was answering the chat there.
That is okay.
Just giving shout outs here to Coda Phil and AO just showed up. Rob, hey. Vince, Leanne. Thank you all for watching. Race Fan Rocks, I know, was in here earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ovechkin scores 600 goals, fourth fastest to do it.
Yes. Talk for a minute.
Sure, I would love to talk for a minute. I mean, to me, this is amazing because for all the crap Ovechkin gets, like just nonstop crap that Ovechkin gets, I mean, this guy is the best pure goal scorer. He might be the best pure goal scorer to ever play the game, because if you look at the other names of the players who reached 600 goals quicker, you're talking guys like Wayne Gretzky, you're talking, Brett Hull, and I think Mario Lemieux. And as great as all these players were, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that Ovechkin's better than Gretzky, Lemieux, or Brett Hull, but most of these guys played in an era where the puck went in the net 7 or 8 times a night in some cases. Goalies, goalies were not good. Defense was optional. So, I mean, to do what Ovechkin done, I don't think people realize how special it is and how special of a player Alex Ovechkin is. Yeah, maybe he proudly supports a homicidal dictator, but on the ice, he's good. He's a good player. He's a special player. He is probably, he's not even probably, he's easily the best pure goal scorer in the league right now. I think Stamkos is right up there, but
I'm glad you brought up this comparison, because I was watching, was it NHL Now or whatever on the NHL Network the other day, and they I don't know how these statisticians do this, but they did an adjusted stats from era to era, and Mario Lemieux still had a commanding lead on Ovechkin, but Ovechkin was the second greatest goal scorer in NHL history by era comparison. I still have no idea how they did it, but I've loved Alex Ovechkin since day one. I've got this jersey. I just mentioned Lemieux, and I'm not going to change out jerseys in the background again. But yeah, Ovechkin, it's so funny when you hear guys on TV saying, "Oh, Ovechkin's, this is the year he's dropping off. He only has 33 goals, 2/3 of the way through." And it's like, okay, he's still what, the 10th best scorer in the league right now, and
lost a season and a half to lockouts too.
Yeah. It's hopefully that'll work into his favor, the way Yager's career in the KHL for a few years played out, where Ovechkin is still playing well into his 40s because of the lockout.
AO asks a good question. If Gretzky played in this era, would he be anything special? Absolutely.
Yes.
As a guy who can remember, who has plenty of memories of Gretzky playing as a youngster, he was a special player. Would he have scored almost 900 goals? Probably not, but man, no, he would have been. I mean, Gretzky was a special player, and I think that he he's just, he was a special player. He'd be something. He would still be, if he played today, he would still be mentioned with the Crosbys and the McDavids and these guys that are the forefront of the game today. He would be right in that conversation, he would still be up for, Hart trophies every year. There's just no way around it.
Yeah. Until Ovechkin comes in with a thundering hit and breaks Gretzky in half.
Well, I mean, he wouldn't have had Dave Semenko skating around with, being his fists for half of his career. But I mean, the game has changed in that perspective. But Gretzky was such a smart player, though. I mean, he would have adapted. He would have found a way. I mean, he was great in the era that he played in, obviously, but he's a smart enough game. I mean, there's just the thing with Gretzky was the vision. Like there's so few people that can think the game as quickly as Gretzky did, on the fly. And I just think that's why a lot of these guys, when they come back and try coaching, they fail, because for them, it's easy. And to try and explain it to somebody,
why aren't you doing this?
Why can't you do this, Tyson Nash? I don't understand. Yeah. Like I think it's a hard thing for some people. Like some people just aren't there, can't teach because they can't dumb the game down enough to make it make sense to somebody else. That's based on their understanding of it. Yeah,
I can buy into that. But yeah, Alex Ovechkin, I have plenty of time for Alex Ovechkin. He's the death of the power forward. Yeah, it's in decline for sure, but I still consider Ovechkin a power forward. He plays balls to the wall. He's a big freaking dude. He's like 235 pounds. And he puts up all those goals and he can do it at such a pace. Like the pace that he plays at is incredible. It's, guys like Ovechkin, I hate to say it, but it's true. Guys like Crosby, McDavid,
sure,
Yager, those are the guys you have to go see. Like
James Abel saying Ovechkin has 137 more games played than Crosby in their careers. Crosby has only 5 less points. Who had better career? I hate this comparison. They're so different players. Like Ovechkin and Crosby play hockey. Similarities end. Like they're totally different players. Crosby is just a more well-rounded player. I don't think there's any dispute in that. I think Ovechkin is the better goal scorer. Yeah. I mean, obviously Crosby has the hardware to go with it, whereas, Ovechkin doesn't. I don't think it diminishes the fact that, yes, I don't think being better than Crosby is important when it comes to just looking at pure goal scoring, because I don't think that they're different players. Crosby's a much better, well-rounded player than Ovechkin, and I feel like they play hockey. That's where it ends.
Yeah, I feel that overall Crosby is the better player, and statistically it shows that when you're looking at the points per game, as James Abel mentioned in the chat. Mm-hmm. But who would I rather watch play? I would rather watch Ovechkin play because he can I'm not saying Crosby can't individually take the team on his back and run with it. Mm-hmm. But Crosby has always had more. Let me put it this way. Crosby uses his supporting parts better than Ovechkin does. But it's not at Ovechkin's fault. Like Ovechkin can take the team on his back and run with it. I mean, all those goals prove that. And playing with Nicholas Backstrom doesn't hurt, but it's Backstrom setting him up, not the other way around, and that's the difference there.
Right, and I also think like we're kind of getting this for like we have like this for like a whole new generation now, because I think if you've missed the beginning of Ovechkin and Crosby, you're gonna see that now. I think with Matthews and Laine, I think it's all over again, right? Because Laine, and again, completely different players.
You think it's Matthews and Laine or McDavid and Laine? Or is McDavid just on his own?
McDavid's just on his own
plane
of existence, in my opinion. I think that I think Matthews and Laine would be the more apt comparison. But obviously, McDavid, obviously, you'd have to include him in that conversation. But I just, because of the draft year, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Man, Laine's a beast. Laine's in complete beast mode right now. He is leading the league in scoring now over Ovechkin, right?
I think so.
Think so too.
I haven't looked. I haven't looked. There's been so much hockey going on, and I just can't fit it all in my brain.
Oh, by the way, if you like so much hockey that we try and cram it down your brain, please subscribe. That was one of my worst segues ever, but I'm sticking to it anyway. Please give us a subscription if you're new to the show, if you're a fan of Nicole's work and you're checking us out for the first time. If you're a player with Higher Hockey Management, thanks for watching. Hopefully we didn't insult you at some point.
I'm the worst. I probably have.
He's like, hey, those are those guys that called me a schmuck on the ice. Oh no.
No, it was obviously it was cool to have Nicole on the show tonight. I'm hoping that we can continue to bring interesting people on, I like that we do this, like we brought on Tristan Leichhardt. We had Kaylee on the show last year.
Yeah.
I like the fact that we've been able to bring on guests that maybe aren't like the most obvious guests, but they still bring something really interesting to the show. And I'm hoping that we can continue to do that. Like maybe, so we and maybe we should bring on some actual guests too. Like not actual guests, but obvious guests.
And we can't do it without support and viewers like you for That's just $4.99 a month. No, we're not doing that. But we do love the viewership and keep those questions in.
A day, you can support an Ian.
Yeah. Well, okay. We won't decline it, but it's not necessary. But we love all the questions that you tweet into at Teal Tinted Pod. And then Ian blogs hockey, and of course I'm Kevin Lacey 22, and we really appreciate this. And again, without you, we don't have a show. It's just us two chatting to ourselves for and that's it. For an hour and a half, and then it's like, oh crap, I do actually want to, since we talked about guests, I do want to quickly promote a friend of the show, Kirkland Leichhardt, and if you did not catch that show, go back in the archives and find that, because he's a Manitoba junior hockey player. I talked about his life as a junior hockey player and how his aspects of trying to play in college, but it just didn't work out, and hopefully going on to Europe. He ended up leading the MJHL in assists this season. He had 57 assists and 60 points, and the Verdun Oil Capitals are currently in the first round of the playoffs, up 2-1 in their series. So I just want to wish you good luck and don't lose any more teeth, Kirkland.
Definitely. But yeah, no, it's been really cool. I think that having the people on we've had, I think is, like I said, it maybe not be like the obvious people you would think of having on, but I really think that it's been cool doing what we've been able to do, because we've kind of always just done our own thing. We're not really like your typical Sharks podcast, and trust me, I listen to all of them, so I know. And it's really cool that even though maybe we don't walk down the most heavily beaten path, that you guys tune in all the time.
Yeah. So tell a friend. Go to a Barracuda game and tell a friend. Tell the person sitting next to you. And it's good to have the Barracuda talk again, because we hadn't done that in a while.
It's hard.
It is hard.
I can't watch, I can only watch so much hockey right now, especially with trying to be a good father and and support my family.
A good father.
I know. And actually work and stuff, and trying to fit all that in when you live in the not so Western time zone is not fun. But we should probably wrap this up.
Yes.
Any final thoughts, Kevin?
Final thoughts. I'm going to bring up this picture here. Hopefully y'all can see it. It's my buddy Will from Section 109. You know him and love him from the Barracuda games. He and that guy on the right in that Milwaukee Admirals throwback jersey with the Sharks mask is, Troy Grosnick, and, just Troy Grosnick. I just thought this was a really cool picture. Troy still obviously loves the Barracuda fans and loves the Sharks fans. I just thought that was a neat thing to do during warm-up. If you are listening to us on replay online, check out our YouTube feed, or check out RFWill49 on Instagram, because
Absolutely.
That is, hey, look at that. Johnny Root even thought it was great. He commented. I just saw that. So,
there you are.
There you go. We need to get Johnny on the show too. I'll work on that.
Okay. That'd be cool. My final thoughts, obviously, again, check out Nicole's work. I was scouring it yesterday, and there's a lot of really, really interesting stuff on there. And it's definitely something that I'm going to make a point to follow a lot more. And other than that, I hope to have something on Teal Town soon written. I've been kind of, everything happens and I'm busy and I can't really do it when it's happening. And I don't like writing something that everyone else already wrote about 4 million hours ago. So look for something on Teal Town soon. Other than that, have a good one. Please subscribe. Check us out next week and the week after that and the week after that and all through the summer, because we're dumb like that. Have a good one. Bye.